Okay, so the Patriots took Jack Jones from Arizona State, a corner, outside corner. This is, again, they're going off of their board. They met with Jack Jones several times in the pre-draft process. This is a little bit high for him. I'm keep saying that. Jeez. Jack Jones, though, a story that I would say is very, very similar to what the Patriots had with J.C. Jackson and Malcolm Butler. Jack Jones originally committed to USC. He was a Trojan. He played at USC for a year, and then he flunked out at USC for academic reasons and eventually transferred to Arizona State. A very, very sticky, very, very good man coverage corner, got really good ball skills. This is a good football player, and they've met with him a bunch. He just has a little bit of a checkered past. And I think the reasons why they met with him so often was to kind of clear the off-field stuff a little bit, right? So Jack Jones, I think, has high-end coverage talent. I think he's a good player. I think he can cover. I personally would have liked to see Zion McCollum or Tyreek Woolen there, but it's been very clear since the get-go that Jack Jones is going to be one of their guys. So this one is a very predictable pick. The Patriots have been in on Jack Jones for a really long time. I think they met with him 3 times in the pre-draft process. So there you have it. Jack Jones to the Patriots. They do double dip at corner, just not any of the corners we thought of, which, shocker. Surprise, surprise, right?
Jack Jones, in terms of consensus ranking, this about right?
I'm not even going to say it. No. Consensus ranking... Look, on a pure ability, the 4th round for Jack Jones isn't terrible, right? This is about where he probably would have gone if he was a clean prospect. Then this is where he probably would have gone. The 2 stories that I'll tell with Jack Jones off the field. I mentioned that he flunked out of USC. That was what originally got him kicked off the team at USC. At some point, he also got busted for a B&E breaking into a Panda Express at like 3:00 in the morning.
Who hasn't done that, though?
That's what I said to Alex the other day when we were talking about it.
I'm fairly sure.
20 years old and he wanted some Chinese food at 3:00.
I'm pretty sure I've jumped the counter at Lucky Wah back in the day.
Right. So yeah. I'm not really overreacting to that by any means. But this is the type of things that you see. This is a highly recruited player out of high school, a 5-star recruit. Like I mentioned, USC guy originally. And he has some really, really good flashes of coverage talent on tape when you watch him. And sticky man coverage corner. To me, I think his best comp is probably somebody like Malcolm Butler, who also had a similar story where he fell off the draft radar a little bit and eventually, ended up with the Patriots as a UDFA. So in a lot of drafts, the consensus board is going to have him as a 6th or 7th round pick, or maybe
PFF rank 238.
Yeah, no, definitely not going to be close on the consensus board, but they're type of guy. They've been all over him for a couple months now. This is easily one of the most predictable picks of the draft. But I know everybody's going to sigh. I know everybody's going to be upset. The consensus board says this. He's a talented kid. And he can play. So I think let's wait and see on this one. I think he's going to end up being a pretty good pick here. I don't know exactly what his ceiling is. I mentioned Malcolm Butler as a comp. I think from a size standpoint, obviously the story, those types of things, I think that's an accurate assessment of him. Also, Arizona State product. The Patriots have fallen in love with that program for some reason. They've been all over Arizona State.
Well, I mean, when it works, right?
Is that sarcastic?
Oh man.
You can't be surprised by this pick. That's all I'll keep saying is
I think it just sucks to be you, Evan, because all of the homework, all of the studying, you're gonna have to study different in the future.
No, I mean I knew that Jack Jones was going to be on their board. He's on my big spreadsheet, right? I just thought that they would wait a little bit. Now
it is you have in your 7 stages of grief, you have launched all the way into acceptance already. You're like, this is what they do. It's just what they do.
In a draft like this is what they do, right? In a draft that really has no feel to it whatsoever. They're just going and drafting their guys. Like I said, they've been all over Jack Jones. They've been all over him. They've been meeting with him. They've met with him a couple of different times. They worked him out. So he's got real coverage traits. He's got real coverage skill. Right now, at this point of the draft, I mean, Jalen Amore-Davis went at 119. Brandon Smith went at 120. I thought both of those guys would be guys they would consider here. Amore-Davis, for reference, I had him as CB 18 on my board. I had Jack Jones as CB 21. So we're not like super far off here, right?
Yeah.
You know, in terms of where my rankings were.
He has also another 24-year-old rookie. He'll be 25 during the season.
Yeah, right, because he transferred, and that's this draft, though. You know, I think the criticism of the ages of some of the players, just not even Patriots wise, but just in general, because of the COVID season, everybody's old in this draft. There is no 21-year-old rookies in this draft. Everybody was in college for 5 years.
Everyone is old, and they're aging the rest of us with these picks.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody was old. Some guys were in college for 6 years, and then you throw in transfers like this kid had and stuff like that. And you're going to, you know, this is exactly what's happening. But yeah, the whole age thing, I wouldn't get too. The Patriots, first of all, don't give a shit about the age, quite frankly. Kyle Duggar was a 25-year-old rookie too. So they really do not care about the age. It's not a factor for them.
Yeah, when they're only planning on signing them to one contract, I guess it doesn't really matter.
Right. So I think that this is somebody that can seriously, and like, again, with the age thing, you had the COVID season. Some of these guys transferred. So you get to 5 or 6 seasons really quickly because of that. So that's what's going on here with all of those types of things. Just everybody relax. All right. Everybody take a deep breath. Okay. Jack Jones is, again, really, really talented player. A 5-star recruit coming out of high school. Really good year last year at Arizona State. Really good freshman year at USC. If he had stayed at USC for all 4 or 5 years and didn't have any issues off the field, then this is where he should go, you know? So they see the talent with him. And I think that, you know, this is one that you have to expect. Now, the one other thing I would say is maybe Brandon Smith or Jalen Amore-Davis was higher on their priority here. And when they got jumped for Brandon Smith by the Panthers at 120, then Jack Jones became their next guy, right? You know, maybe they were more thinking of Jack Jones at 127 or 137, but they knew they were going to draft him. And at that point, they just took the player because they got jumped by Carolina. I don't know. That's just a theory, right? I don't know. But that's the theory I'm giving out now.
Okay. That's your theory.
I can see it in the chat. I can see it in John's face. Like, this pick, I can't be mad about this pick because I knew it was coming, right? Like, I knew at some point on day 3 they were going to take Jack Jones. It made too much sense. I was hoping that they were going to take him in like the 6th round with one of those 6th-round picks. They got 3 of them. That's where I was hoping you would go, but that's not the draft the Patriots are running right now.
Why take 6th rounders in the 6th round, Evan? That's just what they'll be expecting you to do, you know?
It is crazy to me that based off of how they drafted, they clearly have guys rated a lot higher that other teams have a lot lower, other people have a lot lower.
Or as you said, Evan, if you've crossed so many names off the list, you know, like, are there guys they've even evaluated at this point if their list is so small? You know,
well, that's my point, is why make the trade with Houston for the extra 6 and the extra 7th if you're taking Jack Jones in the 4th round and Cole Strange in the 1st round? Like, why add more picks? And then they traded back a couple of times already as well. They traded back in the 1st round, and then they traded back last night in the 3rd round. So why keep accumulating picks in a draft that you have a small board on? That part of it I'm a little bit confused by. But yeah, look, Jack Jones is a really talented player. He went through it a little bit in college. He's got, you know, some flags, right? So We'll see.
Yep.
I think the best comp that I can come up with for him is Malcolm Butler. I think some people will go JC Jackson because JC had a similar, started at Florida, transferred to Maryland, that sort of thing. But I look at it and see more Malcolm Butler with Jack Jones. But JC did stay at FBS, right? So he transferred from Florida to Maryland. So I guess in that sense, but I don't see necessarily the pure ball hawking with Jack Jones on the levels that we saw it with JC in college. JC was always going to be an INT machine. That guy had great feel, great ball skills.
Whereas Malcolm is one of those, he's always in your shirt, but he's not making nearly as many plays on the ball.
Right. Yeah. So I think in terms of pro comparison, I'd more steer towards the Malcolm Butler comp.
Yeah.